It was an easy decision to captain Salah against Leicester at home last game week. This game week isn't quite as straightforward though. We can't write Haaland off against a Leicester side that's conceded the most goals in the whole league. Palmer's got a very easy fixture too against Ipswich, and Salah's fixture isn't quite as easy, but it's still far from difficult, and he's gone 10 game weeks in a row without a blank. Unsurprisingly, it's the Egyptian who's got the most promising underlying stats and the highest output on the whole shortlist. Palmer's and Haaland's aren't too bad. They are quite shadowed by Salah's, especially Haaland. Haaland gets one less point for every goal scored in comparison to the other two players, but that does need to be considered from an FPL perspective. They're the non-penalty stats. All three players on the shortlist are nailed on pens for their respective clubs. However, when it comes to the other set pieces, Palmer's on direct free kicks, indirect free kicks and corners, is the set piece specialist for Chelsea. Haaland takes the occasional direct free kick, and that does depend who's on the pitch. Salah doesn't take any. Haaland's got the highest anytime goal scorer odds this game week. Palmer's got the highest anytime assister odds, but when you combine them both together, Haaland's got the best chance of returning. There's barely anything between these sets of odds at all. Haaland's got the best chance of returning, but the other two players get an additional point for every goal scored, so they're a lot closer than what they seem on the screen. Whilst Palmer's got the second best chance of returning, Salah's odds are weighting more towards goals, but overall I do prefer Haaland's odds the most because he's got the lowest chance of blanking, and of course they are weighted more towards goals as well. Moving on to the points projections, Fantasy Football Fix have got Palmer and Salah neck and neck on 7.7, whilst Haaland trails by 0.8 points. That's whilst FPL Review have it much tighter. Palmer tops the chart with 7.3, he's 0.1 ahead of Salah and 0.2 ahead of Haaland. Despite Haaland having the best odds, he's got the worst points projections. It's Palmer who's just about got the best points projections, but that's only 0.1 difference with Salah on one of the data models, so they're practically the same. All three players on the shortlist have got easy fixtures this game week. Salah has the most difficult against West Ham, but that's still favourable. It is difficult to say who's got the worst defence out of Leicester and Ipswich. Leicester have conceded more goals, but Ipswich have been expected to concede more goals. I do prefer to rely on the underlying stats to project future goals conceded, but there is a considerable difference on the goals conceded there, so I'd say there's practically nothing between these defences. It looks like Leicester and West Ham are going to be without the first team goalkeepers, which are Hermansen and Fabianski. They're the top two goalkeepers in the whole league for post-shot XG. Hermansen saved 6 goals more than expected. Fabianski saved 4 goals more than expected. So whichever goalkeeper steps in, it's likely to be a bit of a downgrade. I think Ipswich are worse off. If you look at the stats with and without Tuanzebe, they're much better with him. So goals conceded per 90 minutes, with him 1.4, without him 2.4, expected goals conceded, with him 1.7, without him 2.4. What's even more impressive is the matches with him compared to without him are actually more difficult fixtures. So they had Liverpool, City, Fulham, Brighton, Southampton, Villa, Spurs, United and Forest with him with 5 away matches, and without him West Ham, Everton, Brentford, Leicester, Palace, Bournemouth, Wolves and Newcastle, to be fair, 3 away matches. They're much easier fixtures. Before we conclude, I'm going to carry out a quick risk assessment. All 3 players played on Boxing Day, which means they get less rest. Salah doesn't even get 3 full days. He's not far off though. Haaland just about gets 3 full days, and Palmer gets the additional day with 4. As you can see on the screen, they all played 90 minutes in the last match, and they are typically 90-minute men. You can see that in the expected minutes as well, so we can expect all of them to play roughly the full match. Now it's time to conclude. I don't think there's much between any of these players. I would happily captain any of them. My least favourite is probably Haaland. That's because his stats are so underwhelming so far this season. I don't think he's very trustworthy right now. I really like his fixture against Leicester at home. He could absolutely explode there, but so could the other 2 players in their matches as well. So between Palmer and Salah, they've both got promising underlying stats. They've both got easier fixtures. Salah wins on the stats and Palmer wins on the fixture, but we can't sit on the fence. We can only captain one player, and I think with Ipswich's numbers being much worse without Tuanzebe and him not being able to play, I think the best captain is just about Palmer. I'm doing a double upload with my team selection video. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it.